Hello again, students, and welcome to another lesson using www.sketchup.com. In this demonstration lesson, I'll attempt to show you how to take your imaginary playground assembly and place it into a playground movie set. So without further ado, let's begin. Navigate to the SketchUp landing page you see here. And then once you're here, you move to the upper right where you see the person icon, select it, select My Apps. You may have to log in with your Google account. Select My Products, You Included Applications, and the SketchUp for Web Launch. There's a familiar blue logo and you're good to go. First thing to do is create an entire new file. Create new, simple template, feet and inches. And then move to the right side where you see the model info. You're going to put it in decimal format, leave the precision as it is, change the snap interval to 0.125, hit enter to lock that in, select the 5'8" lady, hit delete to remove her, go back to the right side where you see the scenes tab. It looks like a movie clipboard, and you're going to put it in parallel projection, front view, and as customary, I usually work in quadrant 1, so I'm going to use the pan tool to bring my origin down and to the left. Now I'm going to make an extremely large rectangle, which will serve as the background, and I'll begin at the origin point and create a very large, I'd go with 1,000 inches by 500 inches. So I'm going to type in 1,000, comma, 500, enter. Created an extremely large wall. Universal Studios backdrop. And I'm going to zoom out even more and then use the orbit tool and make this 6 inches thick. So I'm going to use the push-pull tool. Push it, 6, enter, so they have a bit of a thickness to that wall. And again, it's nice to have it in front view. In the name of time, I've already acquired a mansion that I'm going to use as my background. So I'm going to place my wall off to the right. I'm going to use these 3 lines to import from my computer my mansion BG, mansion background. And I'm going to insert as an image. And then I'm going to click once and wait a moment. And then I'm going to stretch my mansion until I feel like it will cover the entire wall. Push it here. I think that's probably big enough. Now I have to look at it from top view, and I can see my wall, or I can see the images selected. So I'm going to use the move tool to pull my image forward and then to the right a bit, and then look at it from front view. If you need to, you can always scale your image just a little more. That's what I intend to do. Here, scale it a little larger to make sure it's going to cover the entire background wall, and then pull it down. At this point, I can use my orbit tool to see that it's placed in front of the wall, and I want to explode it. So I go return to the select tool, right click, and explode my image. That'll enable me to place it on that wall as a decal. So I go to the paint, select. Don't forget to use a sample tool first. Sample the material with the eyedropper, click, and then the paint bucket appears. Put it in front of your surface and select. And then don't forget to hit the delete key right away. And there's your mansion. Very large mansion on I'd say a 80-foot wall. So now I'm going to put a surface where the playground will sit. Look at it from top view. Go to the rectangle tool. And right there at the green axis, click and pull. And at this point, you can type the numbers 1,000, comma, maybe 1,000. Very large surface, 80 feet by 80 feet or so, 90 feet. Right, now in orbit. In this case, I'm going to use the push-pull to pull up. So I'm going to select the push-pull, select my surface, and pull it up 6 inches. Okay, and again, in the name of time, I've already obtained a grassy surface, and I typed in grassy surface top view on Google to find an image. So I'm going to use these 3 lines in the upper left to import from my computer my grass BG, grass background. Select it, place it as an image off to the left side. Again, click once, and then just wait a moment, and then you're going to push and stretch till your grass background is at least large enough to cover that surface. Click a second time, and then you want to make sure it's selected. Use the select tool. You'll see a blue line around it. That means it's selected. Look at it from front view, and you're going to use the move tool. That is the 4 arrow move tool. Lift it up, place it more to the right side there. Look at it from top view. In this case, I'm going to bring it forward. It appears that the grass will cover the entire white surface. So I'm going to use the orbit tool. And once again, return to the select tool, right click on your image, explode it first before you try to place it as a decal. Then you go to the paint tool, use the eyedropper to sample, and then the paint bucket to apply it, and then hit the delete key. And there you have that. Now I'm going to look at it from right view. I want to make sure that I select just the surface. Look at it on top view. Use the move tool, place it back against my mansion. And I'm also going to try to bring it up and bring that surface to the surface where I think my playground should be sitting, approximately there. Let's just take a look at this orbit. So I feel like I have a really nice environment. And at this point, I could put a rectangle around this entire assembly and then right click on it and make it a component. I'll just call it Virtual World. VIRT. Virtual World. And I can also select any and click OK to make it a component. Now, I'm going to return to the front view. I'm going to go to these 3 lines in the upper left. This is where I'm going to bring in my playground assembly. So I go to the 3 lines and I import, this time from Trimble Connect. That's where I've saved all my files in the SketchUp folder and in my playground subfolder. I find playground assembly and insert as component. Click off to the right side. Click. Now in this case, I see a large rectangle. So what I'm going to do is right click on this and explode it. And I believe that's my component that I really want to add. So I'm going to look at it from top view. And I'm going to use the move tool to position it into the front yard. Drag it, bring it into the front yard. And then use the orbit tool. Look at it from front view. Use the move tool to bring it down and position it on the ground. Make sure your playground is sitting right on the surface of the lawn. And what I may want to do is rotate this. Now you're looking to see, you can set up an aesthetically pleasing angle. And you can place this in perspective view and use the orbit tool and the zoom tool with your zooming in with your cursor, your mouse wheel that is. Zooming in. You can use the pan tool, orbit tool. You're going to fine tune the position. You can deselect your playground. I would, at this point, move back to the right where you see the display tab. It looks like glasses, and turn on shadows. And then position the shadows so that they look more downward, straight down. so that you can have a bright and shiny playground. You might, again, you can fine tune using the pan tool. If you like how it looks, that's when you can save in your SketchUp folder. I've made a number of these, so I'm going to call this Playground World 6. Oops. Now that it's saved, the final step will be to go to 3 lines, select Export as PNG. I'd like to show you a few shortcuts that can help create a fine-tuned image that you can export. Once you select the 3 lines and you want to export as PNG, in order to pan in that field, you press the H key and your pan tool will appear, and then you can release the H key and you pan. And then if you want to orbit, you press the O key for orbit, and it returns to the orbit mode, and you can orbit and try to position. Also, I recommend that you select this chain link icon and break it. You see the breaking icon, and then change the number of pixels to 1920 at the top, 1080 at left. That will be a high definition image. And again, select the hand for H, and you can use your cursor to position it, or select the O, you can orbit. Once you set an angle that you feel is aesthetically pleasing, then export as PNG. And as you can see, Playground World 6 PNG went into my downloads folder. At this point, I go to my downloads folder to verify it's there. Playground World 6. And that is the image that you'll want to turn in for assignment credit. Good luck.